Hey everyone, this is Dean Howell and this is the Rising Sun Podcast. You know, after 20 years of service with America's heroes, I've had the chance to meet some pretty awesome people. They're patriots, mothers, fathers, wives, and husbands, and the best example of what it means to be an American. This podcast is all about exploring their joy and pain, success and failure, and telling their stories to the world. The conversations are authentic like the people, and we hope that you'll keep rising like we are. Now let's start the show. The opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the speakers and not of DoD or any of its components.
Take me to the countryside. Gotta get out of these city nights. Drinking my cup, got me feeling right.
Popping, dude. You know, and like I said, like if it gets super fucking weird, then I'll just delete the whole thing and we'll fucking try again. So, you know.
Yep.
Anyways, hey, dude. Look, dude. I know you've been busy. I know you've been like getting it in Japan before you head out, right?
Yep.
And so you know we've been kind of like moving target trying to get you on here.
I know, man. It's been hard.
Which is all good, right? Like I'm not sweating it, right? Like but when I started this thing, I was like, man, I gotta get Mark's fucking Japanese ass on here.
Dude.
You know what I'm saying?
I've been wanting, you know what I mean? Right all over the place, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
But
man.
it's glad to finally be here.
Yeah.
Sitting in this chair.
I know, man. Look at us. Look at us. You're on a podcast, bro.
I remember when it was just a dream. This dream of a podcast, man.
100%. Like, I don't know. I just wanted to do something, man. It's not even like I don't know. The last episode I got or that I did with Matt, right? My boy in Texas. It's got like 15 views. I don't care, dude. I don't care, right? It's not about that, right? Like I don't get off on going viral or whatever. Like, there's something about like sitting here with headphones on with a microphone in front of you.
Yep.
You know, it's like at first it's kind of weird, but then all of a sudden you're like, fuck it, like let's go. You know, and you start having the normal conversation that we would always have. Yep. And but then it's out there for for our people to see, right? And they understand that like, oh shit, these guys are normal.
A lot of stuff that's been talked about, people can, like average guys like us, can just relate to it, right? Mm-hmm. People talk about it, talk about freedoms and things like that, and what makes America so great, and all the other issues that has been talked about, right? Yeah. Or stuff that everyday people talk about,
right?
But it's kind of nice to hear somebody else's perspective sometime on a podcast or something like that, right?
Yeah, dude.
So it's great. I'm honored to be here. I really am.
Dude. It's good to have you, dude. So I normally have like the podcast planner in front of me, but you literally like woke me up on the couch, dude. It's all good.
It's all good. That's all like a rolling hot,
dude. It's Sunday in Japan.
It's a busy day, man.
It's Sunday in Japan, dude.
That's right.
And last night we did like a hail and bail for some folks, and so I've been like licking my wounds all day, and then I heard the doorbell ring, and I was like, is that real? And I looked at the clock. I was like, yeah.
I was like, hold on a minute. Did he forget? At first, I was like, don't knock on the door, right? I'm like, oh shit, there's the doorbell. I'll push that, see what happens.
Yeah. I looked at the real. I was like, or the clock. I was like, yep, that's real. He's here. Okay, let's do this. So, all right, man. So, Mark Takada. Let's jump right into it, right? Are you half Japanese or are you full Japanese?
Man,
right?
I'm 50% Japanese. I'm half Japanese.
Okay.
Quarter white, right?
Okay.
And the other half is all some stuff from.
So that sounds like a crazy question, probably to the viewers. They're like, oh my god, and like, you know what I'm saying? But like for those of us that have lived here for a long time, like that's a legit question. Like, I really never asked you that. Like, are you half? Are you full? Are you like whatever? Right? Like, because in Japanese society, like that, the term hafu, right? It's a thing, right? Yeah, right. And so I've never asked you that, right? So fucking talk to me about it, dude. Like, where are you from, Mark? Where are you from? I know your dad lives in Osaka.
Let me get this.
He's probably Yakuza and shit. It's all good, right? No, yeah.
You know what? I'll tell you what. So, I was born in Minnesota, right? St. Paul, Minnesota.
Okay.
In 79, right? My parents met in college a couple of years before that. You know, my dad finished college in Japan and was like, hey, man, I'm going to go to the States, and, you know, had a pocket full of cash and a little suitcase, and he came on over, started off in California.
Yeah.
And did an exchange student program through the college he was going there. Ended up in Minnesota, right? In some Southwest State University in Podunk, Marshall, Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, started building his reputation. He had a reputation for being able to dance, right? So one day he bebopped on over to my mom's room, was like, hey, want to go dance and have a good time? And the rest is history, right? 79, I'm born. Actually, me and my twin brother are born, right?
That's right, you do have a twin. Yeah, so we lived in Japan for a while, and fun fact, my dad was actually disowned for marrying a white woman, okay? Yeah.
So we weren't able to, the original plan was to go back to Japan and do that thing, right?
Yeah.
But that little minor inconvenience happened, and at the end of the day, they were able to make peace and bury the hatchet, and we moved to Japan 2 years after that, when I was about 2 years old, and you know, I started learning Japanese. I went to you know, the Hoikuen and the Yochien and all that stuff, and boom, 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 little junior Mark, you know, and his brother tearing it up down in Hyogo Prefecture, right next to Osaka,
right,
back in those days. So I made it through 4th grade, and then we decided, hey, let's go back to the States, you know. And so we thus moved back to Minnesota, and back to St. Paul, you know, and I went through school.
How long did y'all live in Japan?
So we were in Japan at that point for, about roughly 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So we get back to the States in about 90.
Yeah.
I remember that. Minnesota Twins, I think, won the World Series, right? Old Kirby Puckett and all that stuff. Anyways, yeah, so we, you know, it was a real hard time for me, right? Because I was straight Japanese from there. For those of you who don't know, English is my second language, okay? And that's probably why I use the F-bomb so much.
it's good filler.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But I had a real hard time adjusting, man. And, you know, and all those different things. Like when I was in Japan, I was a gaijin, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I came back to the States, I was Asian. And it was like, oh my God, what's going on with my identity? You know what I mean? So I had a hard time adjusting. But obviously I finally did, and went through grade school, learned English. It took 2 years to freaking learn English, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I didn't take science or any of that stuff, right? It's ironic that I learned English from Mr. Valdez, Mexican guy, who did a really good job, right? Thanks, Mr. Valdez. He's a deputy sheriff. I think he might be retired by now, but great guy. But I learned that, you know, and then, you know, went through high school, and I started thinking about, hey, man, what do I want to do? And I was like, ting. I remember back in 1987, my dad took me to go see this movie called Top Gun. Osaka, right?
Yes.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I remember, man. And ever since then, I loved airplanes and jets and the military and all that stuff. So it was always kind of in the back of my mind, right? Like, you know, but I wanted to be a pilot, right? And of course, I didn't apply myself hard enough, you know. But I remember, man, I graduated high school in '98. And
we graduated the same year, man.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah,
man, we're like old farts now.
98.
You know, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, all right, well, I'm gonna. I guess I'm. You know, my dad's Japanese, and in Japan, it's like boom, 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 college, get it done, go to college. You know, got to do it. And I was the oldest one, right? So naturally, I'm like, all right, I'll give this college thing a try at junior college for about a semester, and I'm like, not gonna happen. I'm like, I want to do something else, you know. And that's about the time I rolled into the recruiter, right? But the funny thing is, I go up to go talk to the Navy recruiter, right? And I freaking go through the damn Air Force, right? And the guy's like, hey, man, the Navy guys, they're on lunch for like the next half an hour, so whatever, you know what I mean? And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll just talk to you for a minute, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then they came back. I did this Civil War Patrol thing, right, which was like junior ROTC, right? So I had a real good grasp on what the Air Force was all about, and sure, you know, aim high and all that stuff, right? It was great, but inside me, I was like, Navy, man, Navy, you know. Yeah. I just remember back watching Top Gun. I'm like, Navy, F-14s, oh, you know what I mean?
Dude. So
finally, I came in and I rolled in, and I remember PR1 Mark Filtrani was my recruiter, and OS2 Kim Ferroni, who is now a CMC.
Oh, yeah.
Doing it big, you know what I mean? Where's he at? I want to say he's on the Oscar Austin. He's the CMC of Oscar Austin, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, those guys were in there, man, ready with open arms to bring me in, you know what I mean? That's what I want, you know? I want to do this, that, and the other, you know? And he's like, well, it sounds like maybe an AM, maybe an aviation structural mechanic or aviation machinist may do some engine work, or maybe
do I fly?
Right? He's like, well, you're not gonna fly, you know, but you're gonna fix the airplane until those guys fly, you know. Yeah. And then off to boot camp I went in freaking '99, man. Yeah. And the rest is history. Almost 23 years later, here I am.
Yeah, dude. Okay, so mom, is she in the States or?
Yeah. So. It's really funny because my dad is in Japan, lives down in Osaka, right? My mom's back in Minnesota, and holding it down back there. Right. You know, my dad is sort of on extended deployment to Japan, really. You know.
Yeah, I get it.
You know, he's always he's always worked in Japan, so and had all those roots here, and we had a company, you know, we have a company in Osaka that he does some tax stuff for, you know, because he's an accountant by trade, and so he's always had work here. So, and it's, to be honest with you, it's probably better that they're not always together, be murdering each other. You know what I mean? Dude. Yeah. So, you know, but he's fixing to retire in a couple of years, go back and unlike me, go back to the United States. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, but when people ask me, they ask me all the time, right? You know, like, oh, are you going to retire in Japan? I'm like, well, it's probably going to be like a split household kind of thing, right? And like, that probably offends some people's sensibilities, right? You know, but like when I think about how I'm going to retire, how I'm going to like set myself up post Navy, like I will have a household in Japan, and I'll have a household in probably Texas, or well, definitely in Texas, right? And like, and we, you know, mommy and I will split time between the two, right? Like, because mommy don't want shit to do with living in the States permanently, dude.
Oh, sure. I'm sure.
Which she's done it twice, right? And that's how we found out. She's like, I'm good. She's like, it's a nice place to visit, like, but I don't want to live there, you know. Which is, you know, that's the truth. I mean, I'm kind of on the same page myself. Like, I'll probably, you know, when I retire, I'll probably go back for like, I don't know, from September through like January, right? I'll go back for like football season and hunting season, and then like, all right, I'm good. You know, I got my fix in. Like, I'm back to Japan.
That's the beauty, though, right? Being overseas and being able, you know, have the privilege of serving in the military overseas and experience that life, right? Yeah. Obviously, my track's a little bit different because I had about 10 years in Japan before I even joined the Navy and came to Japan. Yeah. But yeah, I'm on the same game plan, man. I love my country, right? Yeah. And I love serving in the military, and you know, I'll do it as long as they let me do it, right? Yeah. At the end of the day, though, man, you and I and about 300,000 other people in the Navy are out there doing it, right? Yeah. And for those who are fortunate enough to get to the point of actually retiring from the military, hey, man, you paid your dues.
Yeah, do what you want, right? What I mean? Do what the fuck you want, right?
Nobody's going to tell me I'm not a patriot because I'm not living in the States.
Yeah, 100%. So I think about this, and I have this conversation with a lot of people, and I think that like if you're straight stick, like you know, guy gal from Texas, you know, Oklahoma, you know, one of these really kind of like true blue American type places, right? Minnesota, right? Minnesota's kind of the same way, honestly, right? Like, you know, there's some people that would be offended by the fact or by the thought of an American living somewhere else, right? And so I've caught some of that, you know, myself. And I was like, hey man, like I've been all over the world. Like when you're in Hong Kong, or when you're in Thailand or when you're in Singapore, you know, like there's this expat community, and most of them are like British or French or German or like they're European typically, right? And you know, like I learned a lot from meeting those people in these different countries.
Yeah, man.
And they live there, but they're also very like nationalistic. They're very patriotic about where they're from, right? But they just don't want to fucking live there, right? And it's not because it's a terrible place or anything. It's just like they matured and grew up, and they understood that I'd rather live here. Doesn't mean I hate where I'm from.
Yep.
It's just that I prefer to live here, and I think that America is way behind the power curve with that.
Absolutely,
right?
man.
You know what I mean?
You know, being around the world and getting to see the different cultures and the people and all that stuff, like, I often think that same thought to myself, like, man, I feel like we're a little bit behind the power curve. Like, the way they think, you know, like in Europe and Germany and all that stuff, and Japan and all that is way different than you know. And, you know, like, again, like what you said, this might offend some people, right? But I've been called quite a few names, okay, by the people of those countries. Like, man, you guys, you Americans, you know, it's always you Americans. You think you're the police of the world, right?
Yeah.
You know, but I've seen all that stuff, experienced it, and you know, there's nothing wrong because I live on the planet. Okay, I live on planet Earth, and I can live wherever I want. Right. That doesn't mean I hate my country of origin. Yeah. I love the United States because we do a lot of good things around the world, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we fuck some shit up, you know.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think that we're inherently good people.
Right.
You know, so, hey, if I want to live out of the United States and still be a patriot motherfucker, like, that's what I'm going to be.
Yeah, it's possible. It's okay to do both. Right?
Exactly.
Like,
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Like, just got to open up your...
You know, there's this, like, you know, if we were to look it up, right, like I think America of the first world countries in the world, right, we have the lowest rate of you know, adults that have passports, like, by far, right? If you were to, I'm not going to pull my phone and look at it, right? But like, I've looked at it a bunch, right? Like, Americans don't see the value in like traveling to other places that you know, other first world developed, you know, countries do, right? And I think that's kind of a shame, right? It is a shame. It's a little bit of a travesty, right? Because you know, as well off as we are as a country, and then, you know, like, it would be great if everybody got out and saw the world, and then they would bring that perspective back. Yeah, man. And I think it would make society a lot better. Yep. You know, so 100% true, man. Like, so, hey, man. So, you know, I've got half kids, right? And you know, for the viewership, they're going to be offended every time I say half, right? But, you know, like I do, that that's just kind of like the normal term in Japan, right? So I've got half kids, and my oldest, Millie, who's going to graduate this year, like, she went to school out in Japan all the way through like 5th grade, right? So, you know, probably about the same age as when you moved back, right? And we had always planned on like bringing them into American schools. But we kind of accelerated the timeline because like specifically, you know, in her 5th grade year, like, she caught a lot of, like, you know, like she was, I know, like, super racist, dude, you know, and because she looks very half, right, like, you know, like, and she was catching a lot of shit from like the Japanese kids, right? So we love Japan, right? Like, I love Japan. I love this fucking place, right? But like, it is still a very racist country, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you might not outright see it, but it's in like the services that are provided, you know, right? Yeah, and in the businesses and the inner workings of it, you know, right? I mean, look, the guys go out on liberty, right? You get the X on certain bars because you're a freaking American, you know, and there's that stigma attached to it, right? Yeah. And that shit would not fly in the States. Your shop would freaking be burnt down if you did that in the States. But here, it's different, you know. It is. And
I'm not saying it's a good thing, but it's good to experience that because you see what's out in the world, you know, right? It's not just your backyard of USA, but like you're in another country and you're experiencing that culture and what is the norm for those guys, right? So, and I know what you're saying about your daughter, right? Because I experienced that as a kid, and back then Japan was a different place, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember my aunt got divorced. And it was like, holy shit, the world ended, right? Like, don't talk about that stuff. Like, that's taboo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Like, you know, people on the corners of the streets whispering about my aunt. Like, oh, my God, she got divorced.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Now it's obviously more widely accepted and all that stuff. But yeah, even within that, you know, the laws are very different from the United States when it comes to divorce. I mean, you can get a divorce in Japan in one day. You know what I mean? If you got your sock and shit in one sock, right? And then you guys have an amicable thing, you can get it done in one day.
Right, yeah.
You know, so it's so crazy to see the different levels of, you know.
Yeah, it's wild, man. You know,
dude, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I have no doubt that you experienced some of that. You know, but what was it like when you moved to the States? Like, how was that? Like, you know, flip the coin, right? Like, you get to the States, and again, I have some experiences with my kids, dude, right? And so, but I want to hear your experience. Like, you know, you get to the States, you're English, like, you don't speak English, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm in American school, right? Like, like, how was that?
You know, where we lived in St. Paul, there's a large community, the Hmong people, right? Came from Vietnam.
Oh, Hmong, yeah.
There's a large community of that.
Yeah.
So
I had 2 Hmong chiefs on my camel.
Really?
Like, yeah, and they both of them made senior chief, and now one of them's going to be a warrant officer, right? Like, so super motivated, get after it people. Si Yang and Li Chang.
Si Yang and Li Chang, there you go.
You know what I'm saying? Great motherfuckers, right? But anyway, so Hmong, right?
So there was already a large community of that in Minnesota, in particular in St. Paul area there. So it wasn't bad there, right? But my parents were like, hell no, we're going to move out of the city. So what did we do? We moved to a town called friggin' Farmington, right?
Farmington.
I shit you not, bro. There was about 5,490 people in this town, and it was nothing but farms, corn farm, right?
Yeah.
And I remember my dad telling me before the first day of school, he said, hey, look, you are going to come up against some people that couldn't even tell you where Japan is on a map, okay? But they're going to be watching a TV that's made in Japan. Their parents are going to be driving a Japanese car, you know what I mean? But that's the kind of ignorance you're going to come up against, right? And no shit, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, we got in there, and the very first day, man, probably every slang word you could call an Asian person in the book came out, right? Because they were all good old farm boys, you know?
Yeah.
And we were literally the first family that had anything other than white in their blood to get on that neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
Down there. So it was rough, man. Like, you know, oh, man, people rolled around with CB radios, and I would just hear the chatter, you know, because my friends, you know, I didn't, like, hang out with a particular group of people, right? I just kind of got along with everybody that wanted to get along with me,
right?
You know, and that happened to be mostly white people, and some people who were not as ignorant, and some people who were pretty ignorant, but you know, through the course of getting to know them, they kind of changed their perspective on that, right?
Yeah.
But it was pretty rough, man.
Rough.
It was rough. Yeah, it was rough. You know, I mean, I like to say me and my twin brothers got in some fights, and we paved the way for my little brothers, right? Because by the time I was a senior, right, 4 years later, it was like, oh shit, don't fuck with the Takadas, bro. They're fucking 2 black belt guys. They got 2 younger brothers. Don't fuck with them. They'll fuck you up, kind of thing, right? So I was like, I don't even know what this dude's talking about. But sure, I got a black belt, 8th degree fucking karate, cool. But,
sweep the leg.
But you know, I'm not gonna lie, man. That shit was rough. Like I remember going home and crying sometimes to my mom. Like, why the fuck's wrong with these people? You know? But
I can only imagine, man.
You know, that kind of adversity made me a better person, right? It made me more resilient, you know, down the line. And But it was tough. It was definitely tough, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously, I got kids too that are half, right?
Yeah.
And my daughter, she went to Ryochiin here, you know, and she got some Japanese. She was able to speak some Japanese by the time.
Yeah.
You know, I'd sent her back, but you know, they're in San Diego, and that's a melting pot, anyways, right? So,
Right. Yeah.
so I don't have any issues of. I mean, you're probably not going to see any kind of like racial issues like you would see, you know, in Middle America somewhere in a place named Farmington. Okay, which by the way has got about 40,000 people on now. It's a lot more diverse now, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, you're probably talking about 1990, 89, 90 when you guys went back, kind of thing, right?
Yep.
And you know, the States was just a different place then. I mean, you know, we're the same age, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm 9 years old in small town Louisiana, which probably is not that different from Farmington,
No, it's
you
not,
know,
man.
Minnesota, right? Like, it's not a very well. We were very diverse, and what I mean by that is, like, you know, we were a town that was probably split down the middle, half black, half white, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you know, yeah, we're split down the middle, but like, I don't know, man. I don't want to talk shit about it because my experience was much different than most people's.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I got a little soul to me, it's because like that's the way I came up. You know, like my stepmom's black, and like, you know, I've known her my whole life. I don't remember meeting her. I don't remember meeting my stepbrothers. You know, Cedric and Adrian. Like, so like I have to, like, sometimes I have to temper my expectations of how people should like treat each other, because, you know, the way I see it is just different, man, because I came up a different way, you know, like, yeah, and same thing, like, when I brought my kids back, you know, like, it caused a lot of hate and discontent with mommy and I, right? But I was like, hey, man, like, when I picked that assignment in Hawaii, I was like, I got to get them to the States, man. Like, cause, you know, Millie, my oldest at that time, none of them could really speak English, right? I was underway and gone and deployed, and so like I would come home from deployment, man. I felt like a guest in my own house, you know.
Yeah.
And like I'm trying to talk to my kids, and they're like, I don't really speak English. I'm like, oh shit, man. Like, it was rough, man.
Yeah.
And I made a conscious decision, like, when I picked those orders, like, all right, dude, we're going to the States, so they, like, I got to be able to communicate with my kids, you know. And so we spent 3.5 years in Hawaii, but same thing, right? Like, when they got there, like, dude, I remember all three of them came home from school crying the first day.
Man, it's rough. You know?
Because, like, they were stressed out.
It's
dude.
rough, man.
You know.
No,
Yeah.
I remember this one time. It was the very first day of school in the United States, and I get up to the lunch line, and everybody has to write their name, right? And I don't freaking know how to write my name. So the lady looks at me and said, "What's wrong with you? You don't know how to write your own name?" I'm like, no, I don't. She's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And, you know, it's like, but it was like that, right? Like,
Yep.
what's wrong with you? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, my kids said the same thing. Like, legit, they're like, you know, the teacher handed out, like, you know, like, whatever, classwork, and they're like, all right, write your name at the top of the page, and they're like,
you know,
I don't know how to do that. You know?
And, you know, I don't blame my parents for making me or not making me do, you know, the alphabets and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
We just, things happen, and you end up moving, you know, back to another country, and that's just how it worked out. But, you know, but the school supported us, you know, great, and we went into ESL and all that stuff, right? And you know, they really took care of us. And now, obviously, I could speak without, you know, friggin' effing up the R's and the L's, right? Right?
100%, man.
So, you know, they did, the public school system did a fine job, you know.
Yeah, I can't hate on public schools, man. Both my parents were teachers, right? My mom was my 7th grade science teacher, right? Like I got more. So I got my ass whooped all the way until I was a freshman in high school, right? Like, kids these days, they don't understand. Like,
No, they don't.
you just get your ass whooped, and like, a bunch of them were handed out like my mom was too, she was too soft to do it herself, right? So she would take me to, Principal Dozier, who was like also the football coach, big like burly motherfucker, right? And Chris Dean won't behave in class again, like in her class. She would take me to Chris Dozier, and he would like tear my ass up, man. Like kids these days don't understand, man. Like getting that fucking ass whooped,
Dude, I tell you what, I remember getting my ass whooped with a friggin' yardstick in Japan.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and this dude wasn't fucking around. He was like, "Hey, go ahead and grab the freaking podium." Right? And he had this freaking yardstick, right? And he went to town on my ass for, well, I don't know what the hell I did, but it didn't make him happy. You know what I mean? Back then, you could like whoop asses for real. I remember like, well, the teacher hit me with a stick today. Yeah. All right.
What'd you do to deserve it? You know what I mean? What'd you do? Yeah, dude.
Oh my God, you bring all those things out these days. Holy hell would break loose.
Yeah, I mean, so Mommy, my wife Mommy, so she used to talk about that, right? And she would say like legit, like it was no joke, dude. Like even in America, like I got my ass whooped, it was 3, right? It's like pop, 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 and it shit hurt. Don't get it twisted, right? It hurt. But she was like, now I would tell her about it, right? And she's like, let me tell you about how we get our ass whipped. They just fucking like go to town on, So, anyways,
different times, right? Different times, but
yeah, dude. So, okay, yeah, dude. I'm glad that I got you here because these are all. Part of this thing is that this gives me an opportunity to the people that I have over the guests that I have. This is like dedicated time to ask questions I wouldn't normally ask, right? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I really get to know you. Number one, that like, I kind of delve into the things that I probably wouldn't ask if we were just sitting around like with a bunch of other people, right?
Absolutely.
But also, like your story, I think it deserves to see the light of day, right? And we're going to kind of get into this like naval special warfare topic or whatever, right? But if you look at like kind of like the books that are being written and like whether it's podcasts or whether it's like leadership, blah blah blah, right? Like special warfare and specifically naval special warfare, they almost have like a monopoly on like, you know what I'm saying? Like this is how you do leadership type thing, right? Which is cool, and I get it. They have a right to, because they have a lot of credibility. I guess is my point, right? But I think that like us guys and gals that obviously, when we're going to get into it, that you have and done that job, right? But us guys and gals that are like ship people or squadron people, like maybe we never got shot at, but we know a thing or two about leadership also. And by the way, like we're leading people that aren't, alphas all the time, right? So maybe our brand of leadership philosophy is a little more applicable to most people, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's I don't know. That's a big part of why I want to have everybody on, but especially guys like you. So Navy wise, right? So come in the Navy, where'd you start out at?
So, I went to A school after boot camp to Pensacola, to AM school, right? Did that thing.
AM, airframer,
aviation structural mechanics.
Aviation structural mechanic, yeah.
So I go there and do my thing, and we're split in 2 classes, right? And when we go to pick orders for the dream sheet deal, right? They combine our class back together, and I'm number 4, right? So naturally, there's only 3 friggin' orders to Japan because that was my intention to get back to Japan, right? So I'm like, hey guys, check it out. I'm, if you didn't know by my name, I'm Japanese, man. I'm trying to get back over there, right? And it's still fucking away. So I'm like, hey, I'm trying to get back over there. Let me, and I still remember. There's 2 orders to Tsugi, to a squadron, one to the Essex. Or maybe it was a Bon Richard. One of the 2 down there in Sasebo, right, back in the days.
What was it, 99? 99, 2000?
2000.
It would have been Bono.
Yeah.
No, it would have been. It was.
No, it
It
wasn't.
wasn't BHR. It was shit. Who was there before Essex? It was anyways, they did a whole swap. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was a bill to that shit down there, and so I was like, "Hey, guys, let me get one of these orders. I don't care. Just let me get one, please, so I can get back to Japan, right?" And first thing, boom, 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 all three took them. I was like, "Okay, you assholes, fine." So I'm like, "Well, what am I gonna do, right?" So I'm like, "Hey, AM1, what's this? These orders that say NAS Woodby Island AMD? What's that?" And he looks at me and says, "Oh, I don't know." Looking back at this now, I'm like, what in the hell? This guy didn't know, but so I picked those orders, right? End up at Woodby Island.
Yeah.
On a 2-year short tour, right off the bat. Thinking to myself, why am I here right now? I went there as advanced composite tech. I left Pensacola, I went to Oceana to a C school to learn how to make composites and all that, fixing all that stuff.
Yeah.
And after that, I reported to Woodby Island. Did my 2 years and and finally I'm in the window for orders in the old Jazz Rex, right, back in the days. And I told my senior chief, who was my senior chief Webb, who was my division LCP, I said, "Senior, you got to send me back to Japan, or send me to Japan, please. I've been trying to do this since day one." He's like, "Oh, all right, I'll take a look, see." So I'm bebopping down the P-way one day, and he's like, "Hey, Anthony Takada," because I'd made third class buttons. "Anthony Takada, come on over. What'd you say you want to go again?" I said, I want to go back to. I want to go to Japan. I keep saying back to because for me it's going back to Japan, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, Tom, like, let me guess, you can't find any, right? So where am I going? Am I going to Norfolk or something? You know what I mean?" He's like, "No, man, I got your orders to VS-21 and Itsugi." So I'm like, "Sweet,
VS-21,
dude. You know what I mean? Yeah, the old war hoovers, right?" Yeah, man. And May of 2002, I freaking check out of Woodby and head on down to San Diego, get some S3 experience at the schoolhouse, and then off I went to Itsugi, right? And I just remember getting to Japan. I actually went to my dad's place, and back then he lived in Kyoto, right? 5 minutes from the friggin' Golden Pavilion. So I did a little bit of leave there before I got on a freaking bullet train, hopped on, went up to Tokyo and down to Yokohama, and then off to freaking Itsugi I went. And checked in, man, and I was like, sweet, I'm finally back home. Here we go. And this is like old AM3 Takada. Used to working 4 days a week because Woodby Island was one of the true show duties, right? And the first day, man, I remember we were getting ready to go underway, and it was like, no shit, a 14-hour day, and I was like, what in the hell did I get myself into, right?
Welcome, right? Welcome to
straight up O level. But not only that, I managed to almost kill myself on the first day, right? I get in there, and I'm this AM2 takes me under his wings. He's like, "Come on, man, we're gonna go do some strut service on this bird, right, in the hangar." I'm like, "Okay, cool." He's like, "Go ahead and hook up this adapter to the Schrader valve up there, break it loose," And I'm like, "Okay, cool." I get up in there, I'm like, wedge myself in a wheel well, right? And I break this Schrader valve loose like a knucklehead, right? And it's not being held back, and all of a sudden I hear this shh, and the jet goes. And stuff's coming down, right? I'm like, and I picture freaking like a cartoon with his foot trying to run. And he's not going anywhere, right? I'm like, well, what's going on? This freaking crusty ass senior chief Hewson grabs me, right? And he's like, yanks me out of the wheel well. He's like, "What are you doing, dummy? You trying to kill yourself?" I'm like, apparently, senior chief. It looks like day one. But yeah, that was my introduction to the O level side of the house, and But that place was it taught me a whole different level of work ethics, right? Being O level and especially FG&F and turning and burning all the time and just nothing but flying,
So you guys got underway on Kitty Hawk.
Sure did,
right?
Yeah, man.
Shitty kitty.
Man, that thing ran on hate, and that's why it never sank. That's what everybody used to say, man. But it was awesome, right? And then back then, hey, like. Everybody had their own reasons for joining the military after 9/11 and stuff like that. But the war was gearing up. It was starting to freaking get into full swing. You know, we'd already had some operations and stuff like that after the towers went down, but everybody was like, there was this rumor mill going around like, hey man, we might go to the Gulf. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like people, you know, you hear the old scuttlebutts on the freaking mess decks and whispers and all that stuff, and it turned out to be true. We actually went out there to do the old shocking off for Iraq, right?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Like a 3-carrier run there in the Gulf and just ripping through shit. But the cool thing about that was before, because that was 2003, right? Before we actually went underway, man, I get a knock on my door, you know, at the barracks. And I open the friggin' door, my little brother's there, right? Oh, PHAN, or is it PH Seaman, right? Kenneth Takada, right there at the front door. I'm like, what are you doing here, dude? Well, you're going to tell me or what? He's like, oh, man, you know, I just figured you were here, so I followed you to Japan. Yeah. You know, I was like, how the hell? He's like, I told my instructor when we were picking orders, like, hey, I got a brother over in Japan, in Sugi, in a squadron. He's like, well, if you want to go there, we got this orders to VF 154.
Oh,
14
shit.
Black Knights,
dude,
right?
Black Knights, dude. Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I can say this, but man, they used to call him the one filthy horse, right? But yeah, so he was going over there to do some tarps pod work, right?
Yeah.
And so we were actually able to go on the shock and awe cruise, man, together, and it was a really neat experience.
That's cool, man.
To be able to not only be in the same service, but be in the same place.
Yeah.
On the same ship,
doing the same mission.
Doing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it was really awesome, man, and we kind of had that support system that most people don't really have, right? Like I had my brother, and he had me, and we freaking took care of each other on that freaking deployment, you know. Yeah. Got us through the hard times and all the freaking yeah, right.
Like, look, dude, I know 154 the Black Knights because 102 replaced them. I was Diamondback, right? And so Diamondbacks replaced them in Atsugi. So when you talk about Atsugi, like, I'm like, such a good tour. Yeah, man. But I've never heard him called the 150, the one filthy whores, dude. That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
I remember my little brother telling me that shit one time. I never forgot it. Yeah, it was pretty good, man.
But you were in a VS squadron, which we don't have VSs anymore.
Yeah, man. So that squadron was actually on its way out the door, right? Yeah. Because the wing had set the date for the sundown and all that stuff, and we were our days were numbered on the calendar. Yeah. And
which they had, if I remember right, they had a kind of a twofold mission. They were refuelers and they were also ASW. Yep. Right. Which we don't really have. We don't really feel that ASW mission that they did anymore, right?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of
with a carrier-based aircraft, right?
Yep. Yeah. So most of the squadron, you know, guys were just getting in and tanking. You know? Yeah, right. I don't even know what combat tanking is, but they were combat tanking. I do remember this one time we were up in northern Japan, right, floating around on the Katy Hawk, and we're just chilling. I'm up there doing some maintenance on the flight deck, right, having a good time, and I look at the horizon and I see this bird coming towards us, right? And I'm like, hey man, what is that bird over there, right? Yeah. And everyone's starting to kind of look because it's pushing out a lot of exhaust smoke, right? And you can see this thing. It was a friggin' Russian bear, right? Flew right over the damn Katy Hawk. And
that was a thing.
That
specific instance was a thing.
It was a thing. I'm like, well, somebody's getting fucked over that one. But it was funny because the S3's claim to fame were VS-21s was. Yeah. They were the first ones to get in the air, right? Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, what are you going to do? Like,
too little, too late, motherfuckers. It doesn't help if you get in the air after they overfly you.
With a tanker. You know what I mean? I'm not going to drop a fucking refueler on these guys. Exactly. You know, but they were up there getting it in, and there was a nice little picture of them later on flying formation with the bear escorting them.
Yeah. Well, I've seen plenty of Russian bears, put it that way. Stuff I can't really talk about publicly, but I've certainly seen many of them. And if they overfly you, if there's a ship and they overfly you, That's a bad day.
That's a real bad day. I don't know who was sleeping on the old radar.
Yeah, exactly. if they go forward of the stern or aft of the fantail, then it's not such a bad day.
Yeah.
But if they overfly you, like over the top of you,
not good.
It's not good for anybody.
Not good. No. My memory might be a little fuzzy.
No.
Around
Around that time, there was a specific instance that Kitty Hawk was overflown. Let's just put it that way.
Yep.
Yeah. So damn. So you started on shore duty.
Yep.
Right.
I did.
In Whidbey of all places. Back to Japan, and then so probably made second class in.
Yep, sure did.
Right, in DS-21, and then where does your path take you after that?
Obviously, because my aim was for the Navy to keep me in Japan for the rest of my life, right?
Yeah.
Nationally, when the decom and the detailers came over, I was like, I don't care where you send me, just it better be in Japan.
Yeah.
And that's all I care. And they're like, okay, well, we got some squadrons here, VF this, VF that. And I was like, let me get VFA 192. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Off I went to the
Golden Dragons.
Super shit hot world famous Golden Dragons. And so I did my time there. And it was only 2 years because I did 2.5 in VS-21 and at that point I was like, hey man, you got to go back to the States. My detail was like, you got to go back to the States. I'm like, no, I'm the perfect guy to keep here. I'm single. I'm only 5, and I'm like the best ambassador you got. You know what I mean? And he was like, sweet, where do you want to go other than Japan? And I'm like, God damn it.
It got me.
Yeah, right. He's like, I'll give you whatever you want for short duty. And I was like,
yeah.
Really? All right, I'll take San Diego. You know what I mean? Because I went down there for school to learn the S3 systems. I was like, well, this place isn't so bad.
Yeah, it's not so bad. Yeah.
So he's like, all right, you got it, man. Hard copy orders are in the mail.
Yeah.
So he sent me to FRC Southwest, which was basically another eye level place, right? And I get in there and I'm just like, God, what is this pace here? It's like slower than molasses, right? Like typically, like anybody who goes from a squadron FTNF of all places to a shore outfit, you have a little bit of a hard time adjusting, right?
Yeah, that first 6 months is hard.
Yeah, it was rough, man.
It's who the fuck doesn't even work around here?
Yeah, literally. I mean, they put me on night check, right?
Yeah.
I got right to get my calls and got my CDI and all that stuff, and it was funny because I was like, hey, we're gonna send you to FRC as a a composite guy. Okay, no problem. That I've done that.
Yeah.
I got you. So I get there and they're like, sweet, you're gonna be the night check supervisor for a hydraulic shop. And I'm like, hold on a minute. What happened to composite? Whatever. I'll give it a try. I've never done it before,
Yeah.
So got my calls and I'm running the night check hydraulic shop as a supervisor there, and man, I just couldn't do it anymore. It was like probably about 13 months, right?
Yeah.
Into it, I'm like, I can't deal with this slowness. I need to get back to Japan. That's what I need to do, right? I took a little detour getting back to Japan via an IA tour, and so I ended up actually rolling out of there, canning my short duty because I couldn't do it anymore, right?
Yep.
And I actually don't really tell too many people about this, but there was a time when I was an aspiring SEAL, right? So I took a little detour via Buds to get back to Japan, is what I like to say, right? It didn't work out for me, but I did. I went there, did that thing, which I learned a lot about myself, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember as I was coming off the grinder, old David Goggins was bebopping by, right? And if you don't know who David Goggins is, read his book. He's a hardcore mofo.
Can't hurt me. Yeah.
He's like, hey man, what's going on? I was like, well, I just freaking deal hard, and he's like, dude, it's what you do from here that counts, okay? Like if you just freaking feel shitty for yourself and you just blah blah blah, you know what I mean? He gave me like this 3-minute motivating speech that kind of like set me on my course after that, right? So I was like, yeah, real interesting guy. I think he was still an SL1 at the time, but or he might have been in chief, but he talked to me for a couple minutes, and I was like, you're right.
It's what you do from here, motherfucker.
Right? pretty much. There was some F-bombs dropped in there, right? But so I went off and signed up for some IA action, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, hey man, can I go to like Iraq or Afghanistan? You know, and Master Chief Emirates was his name. He was a detailer that I was talking to for IA at the time. He said, yeah, give me a call back in about a week and I'll have something for you, right?
Yeah.
And so I call him back. He's like, man, I got something better than that. And he's like, Kuwait. And I'm like, what? What? Kuwait? There's nothing going on in Kuwait.
We already liberated Kuwait, dude.
Right? He's like, no, you're gonna go there as a master licensor. So I ended up going there and teaching the guys that were going to Afghanistan and Iraq to learn how to drive the up armored Humvee.
Yeah.
So I did that for 7 months, and what do you know? I ended up back in Japan on the carrier this time,
imagine
right?
That.
Yeah, imagine that, right? And it was funny how that one happened. My detailer said, hey man, you're like going to be at needs in the Navy, because I was supposed to have a year orders till I ended up being about 7 months, right?
Right.
So he hits me up on email like, you need to call me now, or you're going wherever I send you, kind of deal.
Yeah.
Right? And I call him up, hey, what's going on, man? Hey, you need to pick orders. Like, okay, cool. Can I go to VFA Umpty? Nope, can't go there. Can I go to VAW Umpty? He's like, nope, giving it to an airman.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Okay. I'm like, can I go to HS something? He's like, nope, you ain't got the NEC and we're not sending you to school. Okay. What do you got for me in Japan? He's like, I got the GW for you.
Yeah,
right. I was like, hey man, I freaking know what you're trying to do. You're trying to freaking pigeonhole me into going to freaking Chip's company because you can't find nobody to go there, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, no man, I'm just doing my job. I'm like, all right, you fucking ass. He's like, what's it gonna be, man? You're gonna have to tell me by tomorrow, or someone have to put you somewhere. I was like, just goddamn it, give me the boat. Give me the boat. Right? I'm going to the boat. Yeah, man. So I ended up in Japan.
Yeah.
And your Coast Guard this time.
What time frame was that?
That was 2010 January, February ish time frame. I got there.
Okay. Yeah.
Check in there, right? Go to the what do they call it?
The Hawk's Nest, probably.
That's right, Hawk's Nest.
Yeah.
No, that was Hawk's Nest for Kitty Hawk, right? Patriots Landing. That's what it was. Patriots Landing. I end up there, right?
I just dated myself. The Hawk's Nest. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I end up there, get the basic calls and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I get to the boat. Day one in the boat, I get called into the division office. They're like, hey, Takada, do you speak Japanese? And I'm like, yes, I do. Right? They're like, cool, your name's in the bucket for TAD. I'm like, oh, god damn it. What TAD is this, senior?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you're going to go work for SRF, right? And I'm like, I'd rather not go work for SRF because I'm thinking to myself, ship's company tour, it's already going to be shitty, right?
Yeah.
But no, it actually turned out to be the biggest blessing in disguise, right?
Yeah.
So I ended up working for the work control, centralized work control, right? Planning the availability, maintenance, and all that stuff that goes down. And so they're like, hey, since you speak Japanese, like, there's not even a contest here. You're going TAD. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh my god, senior, how long? And he's like, 6 months. We'll bring you back in 6 months. So do your tour, right?
So you basically went and worked for like the WAF Shack.
There you go. So
Yeah.
Senior Chief Jimenez. AOCS there, it was amazing. So I get in there, I'm like, hey senior, I'm AM2 Takada, I guess I've been assigned to here. And he's like, sweet man, come on over here, like I'll get you the ropes and blah blah blah. He was a Texas guy, he spoke real fast, right?
Yeah.
And I remember this Lieutenant JG came in, right, and he was an LDO, and he's asking about a tag that got hung, and senior turned around and he's like, hey man, hey sir, blah blah blah, and they like get into this freaking pissing contest right in front of me, right? One's fucking yelling, the other guy's like, mother, you know who they're yelling at, blah blah blah. Right? I was like, oh my god, what the hell kind of shit show did I get involved in, right? But the cool thing is the ship was going to be getting underway soon again in May time frame, right? And by then I was kind of well versed with what they do and hanging tags and all that stuff,
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, so I don't know if you know, but we don't go underway. The ship does its thing, and we stay behind. We plan the availability, and I was like, oh, well, that's not bad, right? So I'm like, cool, sweet,
Interesting.
Yeah. So 6 months turns into a friggin' year, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I'm working for the maintenance manager as well.
Right. Yeah.
And I go up to him one day and I'm like, hey, sir. And I'm a first by then, right? I'm like, hey, I have to go back to my shop and be an airframer LPO.
Yeah.
Or I'm not going to move up. Like,
Yeah.
my evals are going to suck.
100%.
I'm just going to sink, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, I understand, AIM-1. We'll get you back there as soon as you get a replacement, right? And I'm like, my audacity, because I work with a lot of SRF Japanese guys, right?
Yeah.
One in particular, Takagi Koji-san was the shit, bro. Like me and him were like, there was no I was above him or anything. We were working as equals, trying to plan out these maintenances and make sure all the other shops had to do what they had to do and all that stuff. And super awesome dude that taught me more Japanese to get me up to the level that I am now.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a wheel book, one of those freaking Writing That Rain rule books, and I wrote down a word every day,
Right.
Because I had no idea how to speak Japanese ship
On a technical level, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And shipyard lingo, right? So he taught me all that shit.
Yeah.
And super nice guy, still working over there, right?
Yeah.
Just handling it. So the ship's maintenance manager is like, hey man, I'm gonna get you back to your shop. So I get back there. I get back to my shop finally after some convincing from the master chief.
Yeah.
And I get a phone call very first day. I just finished introducing myself to my goddamn shop, and I get a phone call, and AM2 is like, hey, AM1, there's a phone call from you. It's an officer. It's like, get on the phone. I'm like, AM1 Takada.
Yeah.
And he's like, AM1, it's the maintenance manager. Pack your shit and get off the boat. I'm like, God damn it. Are you kidding? He's like, hurry up. The brawl's waiting on you. Hurry up.
Shit's falling apart, man. Hurry up.
Dude, I'm like, hey, sir, does the Master Chief know about this? He's like, he will soon. Just get your shit and get off the boat. The brow's waiting for you. And I'm like, God damn it. So I run back to berthing, and I fucking grab things that are essential, and I leave everything and lock my rack, and I bebop off the fucking boat as I'm literally hopping off the brow and fucking craning it off, right? Yeah, it was. Yeah. So that 6 month TAD turned into 18 months.
Holy shit.
Yeah, man. And I've met a lot of people, and man, I've been down to the bowels of the friggin' carrier, down, like as far as I couldn't believe how far you go down in that thing, man. And we went down there. A place in Airedale should probably never be, right? I was there. Yeah. And I learned this ship in that way, obviously, which helped me get my East-West pin and stuff like that, which was, by the way, the hardest goddamn pin I ever got in my life, right?
East-West is no joke, dude. If they're doing it right, it's no joke.
Oh, man, it was no joke.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think it must have been 2.5 hours in that fucking board, dude.
Yeah.
It was me and like 3 or 4 other dudes, and just boom, just getting grilled. But
dude, that's badass, man. So you know, I'm going to SRF. And obviously my Japanese is not on par with yours. I do okay. You know what I mean?
Oh, you do just fine.
Yeah, but I'm stoked, dude. I'm stoked because I think that one of my qualities is that I'm able to like kind of identify with like our Japanese counterparts.
Yep.
So I can't wait, dude. I can't wait to like lunchtime. I'm gonna roll out and go throw the baseball with the guys that are throwing the baseball at SRF. Like CMC's gonna roll up like, what's up, guys?
Man. I don't think that they've probably come across, and I can say this because I know you, right?
Yeah.
About how much you love Japan. Like,
yeah.
I don't know about the past CMCs in there, but man, you're gonna be knocking the dead in the room, dude. I'm freaking so envious of you. Like, man, I would love to freaking be over there.
Yeah, I can't wait, dude. It's gonna be awesome. I actually, Shimazu-san, there's a guy I know there, a surfer. I've known him since he was like, he was one of our ship soups for Fitzgerald back in the day. And like, we're friends on Facebook. We stay in touch, and I can't wait to get back. Be like, what's up, dude? I can't wait to go to like the SRF cafe and you know what I'm saying, like eat a curry bento. Like,
it's gonna be legit,
I can't wait, dude.
Oh my god, man!
But
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm stoked about it, man. So I do want to delve into just real quick, man, because it's very interesting to me the fact that that you did some time with Naval Special Warfare, because I know that's kind of shaped who you are as a leader, but also kind of like, hey, anybody that I've met that's done time with the SEALs, they come back with just like a totally different perspective, right? They're like it's hard to rattle, right? Like, I'm not gonna get real pissed off about this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so I know you did some time with NSW. I don't know. Share what you want to about that, right? Like, whatever you want to.
Yeah, man. I mean, doing time on the NSW side was an eye opener, right? Because that's business on a level that I've never conducted before, you know, and it really it was hard work, because there's so much trust that's placed in you to get the job done.
Yeah.
But it really helps you learn how to rely on yourself and be confident, right? And then be able to apply all this stuff to the guys below you and to take care of them, and because you're kind of off the cut on your own, taking care of business, right? And you really sometimes have nobody else to back you up but you and a guy that's to your right and your left to get it done, right? So like that kind of team environment, really obviously creates a tight bond between your guys, and then you have the trust factor, and and then you guys are growing through these hard times to be on a team level that, man, it was just awesome, right? The guys that I work with were man, I freaking go to war with those guys any day. They were great guys, right? And being in that environment, which essentially was kind of out of rate for me, right? Because I'm an Airedale, who's a knuckle dragger, turning wrenches and stuff, and to be able to go to a place like that and be given that level of responsibility and that trust was just you're right. It changed me after and I made chief there, right? From the work that I'd done on the carrier. So I got to lead at that level,
right?
Which was amazing. I'll tell you what, man. The guys that work for me made my job friggin' easy. Okay, I mean, I was just a guy that they had just happened to pick that had some rank on him, right? To be the figurehead there, but those guys, the credit goes to those guys, man, because they really put the hours in, and performed to make things happen. That was just amazing. It was just amazing to stand back and see that level of just teamwork, happening. I just, man. So at this point, I've known a lot of guys that have done time with the teams, whether it's Chris Norris or you don't know him, but Scott Fender. He was my IS chief. He's my chief IS on McCampbell, and so I've known a lot of guys that have done time with the teams at this point in my career, right? And there's a couple things that every one of them kind of get out of it, right? And the first is kind of what you talked about, that like, hey man, like you understand that there's no task that's too hard, right? Like, hey, what are we doing? Who am I doing it with? When do I need to have it done by? Okay, fucking go, right? So that's the first thing, like, or if it is too hard, like, guys that did times with the teams will be like, hey, like, no, like, let me punch holes in this real quick. Like, I need these resources to make this shit happen. Like, I'm gonna make it happen, but I can't make it happen without this, and this at a minimum, kind of thing, right? And so there's this very pragmatic approach to leadership that guys that do time with, with the teams that they end up having, and then the other thing is that like nothing really bothers those guys, guys that did time with the teams. They're like, what are you stressing out about? That sounds stupid. Like,
you probably shouldn't be that stressed out over that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, kind of going back to the beginning of where we started, there's a reason why that brand of leadership is so prevalent now. You know, whether it's SEALs writing books, and I don't hate on these guys for writing books like, hey man, do your thing, right? Like, get after it. But like that brand of leadership is very prevalent because it's effective, right? It's effective, and for a lot of people, it's almost unattainable, right? It seems like the gold standard of leadership, right? But what my criticism, I guess, if there is any, is that in the teams, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what it seems like is, and what I've been told is that like everybody's moto, right? Like everybody's like
Yeah,
you don't have dirt bags. You know what I'm saying? You don't really have dirt bags.
There's some that
You know what
get
I'm
through,
saying?
but
Yeah.
by and large, the
Right.
guys that want to be there,
Right.
and they're
Right.
motivated like that.
Right, and so if you got a team like that, like it's pretty easy to motivate those
Dude,
guys, right?
I'm telling you, man.
You know what I'm saying?
You can make some crazy shit happen. Okay, like
Yeah.
the level of just the teamwork and the melding that's happening there is
Right.
There's nothing short of amazing.
Right, yeah.
The fucking guys that I work with, I love every one of them, and I would just work with them any day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how great those guys were. So it was funny, right? Because I did my time over there, and I thought to myself, hey, I got to move on to move up, right?
Yeah.
So I picked some shore duty orders because by now it's been like 10 years of sea time, and it takes a toll on anybody, right?
100%. Yep.
So I'm like, hey, you know what better place but then to go back to Japan? So
Let's get after it.
So
Yeah.
So my detailer was pretty awesome about the whole thing, man, because he knew where I came from, and not just that command, but prior commands,
Yeah.
RGCD, FD&F, right?
Yeah.
And so he was like, hey, dude, I'm gonna essentially keep you off the rotation here. Just let me know when you come back, and we'll talk about what you have for options. And
Yeah.
I remember very distinctly, he called me up one day and he said, hey man, so I got Misawa, I have Lemoore, California, and I have Travis Air Force Base, California, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, Lemoore, yeah, I've been there. Not gonna happen.
Nah.
Travis,
I heard it smells like cow shit.
haven't been there, but it's might be an option,
Right. Yeah.
So I get to, and on this run, I told my wife, I was like, hey, look, I've been selfish.
Yeah.
I've been making all the decisions on this one.
Yeah.
The ball is now in your court.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to her outside the compound. I was like, hey, look, my detailer, he's looking for an answer. These are 3 options. You know my take. Japan, right?
Yeah.
And she was kind of leaning towards Travis.
Yeah.
Which was kind of on the outskirts of San Francisco, kind of in the desert, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they wanted me to do something with F-35s out there. But I was like, look, the kids are young. We
Yeah.
get them into Japan.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to, speak Japanese.
Yeah.
Which is like
It's important.
the holy grail for me.
It's important. Yeah.
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 So, because Kason was already kind of my son was moving up, and he was getting more and more used to English, and I wanted to get him in there before that solidified in his
Yeah.
head, and it became harder to learn another language, right?
Yeah.
So, my wife grudgingly agreed,
Yeah.
even though I was like, look, this is on you. Like, let me know what you want.
Yeah.
If you just say the word and I call the detail in and it's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
But here's the thing. You can't do take-backs. We don't do take-backs here. Once you call the word, once you say it, it's done. And
Yeah.
I can't undo it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So she thought about it for a little bit and she was like, all right, fine. Let's go ahead and ask for Masawa, right?
Right,
And I was like, is that your final answer? And then she's like, yes, just going. I know that's what you want, and I'm like, of course, that's what I want,
Yeah.
So going back to the motherland.
Yeah.
So anyways, boom, we're in Masawa, right?
Yeah.
But it was funny because I remember on the last day I was checking out with my opso and Commander Jackson, and he was like, what are you gonna do? You're going back to the fleet, right? super dramatic. You know what I mean? And I'm like, sir, the guy's been busting on my balls all about going back to the fleet and having to take care of Seaman Timmy and his girlfriend breaking up with him and all this stuff, right? Because we didn't have any of that stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? So Commander Jackson is like, so what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, Chief? In the fleet. And I'm like, I'm a worthless maintainer, so I think I'm gonna just focus on my people. I'm kidding. I love turning a wrench, right? But that's not where my passion lies anymore. Right now, I wanna like see people succeed.
Yep.
So I want to help my people grow, whoever I'm in charge of at that time, and just like watch them go conquer shit, and get it done and grow as a person, and as a sailor and all that stuff. And so I told him that. He's like, and try to find some good people to recruit while you're at it. I was like, roger that, sir. But he said you could preach the gospel and the things that you get to do if you.
But Masawa's been fucking pretty badass for you, right?
Masawa has been. I was looking at it on the map and I knew where it was at, right? I was like, God damn, Masawa, way the fuck up there, away from Tokyo. What the fuck, right?
Yeah, I know.
I
know.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, Masawa?
Yeah. I mean,
let's ride.
But I'll tell you what, dude, and I said it last night, and the going away, Helen Bale and going away and all that, but man, the dudes that I've worked with here are like family in the truest sense of the word, right?
Yeah.
Like I got a problem, I just hit them up and it's like, which guy do I want to pick to help me, right?
Yeah.
Because they're just something about these guys here, man. We are a tight family here, and I freaking in some weird way, right? That's kind of an extension, dude.
I know, dude. It's weird. It's fucking weird, man. It's weird. So kind of going back to that, that kind of team mentality, right? Like the sailors here, and not just the Chiefs, especially the Chiefs, right? But the sailors here are they're what I would imagine it's like being with teams, right? Because everybody's on, like everybody's like front side focused, man. Like, what are we doing? I need you to do this. Okay, got it. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. I need like 5 people to make this happen. Got it. Okay, well, here's your 5 people. Y'all go do that. Report back when it's done, kind of thing. And that's not just my command, right? We're talking about any of the tenants. Like, it just feels real, like we can make anything happen with the minimal amount of people.
Yeah, man.
Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
man,
absolutely.
Fucking getting after it here, man. They're just good people,
I feel like all that stuff was really on display, especially with the friggin' COVID situation that happened, and then we friggin' ran a season through that thing, man.
Yeah, we did.
Like,
yeah, we did.
Yeah, and it was no pussy thing. It was like,
I'm gonna keep it real. Like on my eval, it says despite COVID restrictions. Yeah. And I showed it to one of my mentors. He's like, "You sure you want to put that in there?" I was like, "Yeah, I do, 100%." I want, like, I want that to be on the record that we kept it 100 in Masawa.
Yeah, it was.
You know what I'm saying?
From like, yeah, it was.
It was awesome, COVID. Man. It was COVID, right? Kind of.
Yeah,
it was COVID, and it was the fucking winter season.
3.5 feet of fucking snow.
Dude, those dudes were shoveling snow.
Oh my god!
At every training evolution, like outside the go locker, like which is funny, right? So, like, if you talk to most people, the 2020 Chiefs have an asterisk because of COVID. Yeah. Because most people did it virtually, right?
These motherfuckers here, they earned it, man.
They got it double time.
Exactly.
Not only did they do it in person, they did it through a Masawa fucking winter.
I know, man.
So they got an asterisk, but that's a good fucking asterisk, right? Like,
I want the guys that made it in that season to like understand, like, how special that fucking season is, man.
100%, dude. 100%. So, Russ, Isaiah, fucking Steve or French, fucking Craig French, and who was the other one? Who am I missing, dude? Brian, right? So for the Air Force dudes,
Brian.
if y'all are watching, motherfuckers,
That was extra.
Y'all are like triple extra special initiated chiefs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was.
Man, it was a good time, man.
Dude. It was good though, right?
Yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, dude. So we're about an hour in.
Oh yeah.
So I'll just say, man, like you're out of here real soon, man, and I'm gonna miss the shit out of you, dude. Like,
hey, dude, I'm gonna be back. Okay.
I know.
You know, I'll be back in Japan.
My fucking road dog, man. Like, I really fucking have enjoyed working with you, man. Like, I've learned a lot from you, and
yeah, same here, dude.
You know, you've always been a supporter of everything that we've tried to do here in Misawa, and we've talked a lot about like your future, and I know that you kind of got this pride thing that you want to make. You know, you want to make AFCM, right? Like you want to be a 9.
I mean, it would be
right.
You know
what I'm saying?
Who doesn't? You know,
I was the same way, right? Like I didn't put in a command senior chief package, right? I was like, fuck that. I want to make 9 in my rate. But then I made 9 in my rate and I put in a package immediately. I was like, I ain't trying to do that job. You know? Yeah, dude. Like, I want to see you in the program. Because I know you would crush it, dude. You
Thanks,
would
man.
Absolutely crush it. We talked about this, right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying it publicly, right? Like you would crush it. So don't wait too long, man. Like don't wait too long. Like get your package in. If you don't pick up, you know, this time, whatever. Like just go and get your package in, man. Right? Because you may not pick up the first time, right? So just keep putting in, right? And because you would absolutely crush it, and especially considering you know, kind of the theme of you know, your assignments is how do I get back to Japan? Well, guess what? That's how you get back to Japan, right? Like real talk, you know. And oh, by the way, holy cow, you would like first of all have an amazing time, but also be an asset to the Navy as a native Japanese speaker, right?
I mean,
in a CMC position. Are you kidding me right now,
dude?
You know what I'm saying? Like imagine if, and I think that, you know, as you lay the tea leaves on the table, right, and you fucking moving them shits around, like, oh, Mark Takada is the NAF Misawa CMC. Like, yeah, I totally see that, right? You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine?
Dude,
how awesome that would be, right?
I mean, we would be homing out to like every month almost. You know what I mean?
Right? Like, I barely speak Japanese, and like, you know, like our counterparts up here absolutely love me, right? Now imagine if I was fluent, right? Like Jarrett was before me. He was pretty fluent, right? Like, anyways, point is that, like, dude, not just the Japanese thing, like the way that you lead sailors and the way the way that you present yourself as a leader, you've got it, dude. You've got what it takes to be an amazing, you know, CMC. So,
well, I really appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
I do. It means a lot, right?
Yeah.
Because we're pretty tight.
Yeah.
And we've had those frank talks.
Yeah.
And you know, I've asked you about the program and stuff like that as well. So, you know, it's definitely something I'm looking at really seriously, right?
Yeah.
And hard. Should I be so fortunate that the Navy would bless me with a
Well,
star?
yeah, I'd say, you know, I've been in a position, you know, you try to do this like humility thing. I was like, oh yeah, you know, maybe, no, fuck that.
Just do it, right?
Just fucking do it, dude. Right? Like, you've had a bunch of CMCs at this point. Like, are any of them any better than you could be?
I mean, there were some good dudes. You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying? You feel me?
I'm not gonna
like, you're as good at your potential is as high as,
but you know,
anyone else, right? So
I mean, in the future, I would freaking love to be a CMC in Japan.
Yeah.
Because holy shit,
that's cool, right?
dude, that would be
Let me
awesome.
tell you something, dude.
Man.
I've said this a few times on the podcast that, like, I'm basically half Japanese at this point, right? Like, I've lived most of my adult life here, right? And it's pretty fucking cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And so I can't even imagine, like, actually, being from here, how cool it would be. Well, I guess I can't imagine, but it's fucking awesome, dude. So, anyways, dude, again, don't want to get too into like assignment details and things like that, but so we won't talk about where you're going next, but I know where you're going next, and you're gonna crush it there, dude, and we're gonna fucking miss you here in Misawa, dude. Like I'm gonna personally fucking miss you, man. Like that's why I wanted to get you on before you rolled out.
Dude, obviously I'm gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss all the guys that I've worked with and that I've learned a lot from, right, coming back to the fleet from that life. And I can only hope that when I get back to doing that, because some of the guys are still there that, fucking crushing it, that I can still impart some knowledge on those guys, you know what I mean? From a fleet perspective, right?
Yeah.
Because, if you can just get 5% better, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. But I will definitely miss this place. Like, I'm gonna miss you, Benny, fucking Kevin when he's back in South Kakalaki. All the Air Force dudes, Brian, fucking Spedazio, all these. I mean, I can't even name them all because there's just so many goddamn.
There's a lot of Misawa-isms, man.
Yeah, but I hope that the Air Force guys continue to crush it. Joey, fucking big ass help for us, right? To infiltrate the Air Force.
100%.
No, but that bond that we got there is something special, man, and I hope that it keeps going. And
I'm sure it will, dude.
I'm sure it will.
The thing is, right, like that. It's permeated. It's permeated to a level that it doesn't matter if it's me or Joey or whoever our replacements are, right? Like, whoever replaces us, which we know our reliefs, right? I won't say it here, right? But our reliefs, our the Navy chiefs and the Air Force, senior NCOs are just going to tell those people that are in those new positions. They're going to be like, "Hey, this is how we do business."
Mm-hmm. And then
you know what I'm saying?
That's the norm, right? I remember talking to you about this, right?
It's the norm, right?
To make that the norm. Because then it's automatic at that point.
Then it's the norm. Then it doesn't matter who's in that position. Now it's the norm, right?
Exactly.
And real talk, Joey and I have worked real hard to establish that. And
yeah, man. You guys have crushed that shit. So
all we did was make it a priority, right? And get buy-in from our respective, people, and see the value in making it, a reality. Mm-hmm. And once everybody saw, like, oh shit, this is really good, then it's easy. Then at that point you can step away from it. Like,
yeah, man. And it's
like I fucking told y'all, it was like, this is what we were talking about, and now it's good, right? So
yeah.
Anyways, all right, dude. So you can be in Virginia Beach, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, dude. I'm coming back to the States in November or so. We'll talk offline. Me and my boy Matt, you've probably seen the podcast that we do, the Texas Connection. So we're planning a music festival in Fort Worth. Yeah. It's called the Dirty Boots.
Oh boy.
The Dirty Boots.
Oh boy.
Music festival. It's gonna be like a Texas country music festival, and all the proceeds are gonna go to veterans. So I'll get you the details about it offline, man. But that'll be in November.
Nice.
Maybe that's when I'll see you, man.
Absolutely.
Right,
absolutely. You might see me a little bit sooner than that. We'll see.
I hope so, dude.
But it was a pleasure, man. I'm so glad that I was able to freaking finally get on here.
Yeah.
Run around with the,
Well, we got one more, man. Tomorrow night.
Oh boy.
It's gonna be a fucking shit show.
Oh boy, yeah.
Like I'm really trying to figure out how that's gonna work. Like, it's one of those that, like, I don't care what the audio sounds like. Like, nobody's gonna have headphones on. I'm just gonna throw a couple of microphones up. I'm just gonna fucking go at it, dude. And that might be one where I like look at it. I'm like, maybe this isn't one that I publish.
Yeah, right.
We'll see. We'll see though.
We'll have a little brief before this thing happens, okay? Because you're right.
It could go sideways. It could go sideways as fuck. But one of the reasons I do this thing is, like, let's say that let's say you have a second class in your command, right? That watched this and didn't watch it because they're a brown noser or like a fucking ass kisser, right? They watched it because like, oh shit, I heard that like Senior Takada was going to be on the podcast, and then they watched it and they're like, oh, like he's a normal motherfucker,
dude, right?
Yeah, right. and then like legit, I think that it things like this engender the support of our sailors, right? So anyways.
Yeah, man.
All right, dude. I think my battery's dying, so.
Oh, she's going.
You hear that?
Yep, I hear it.
All right, brother, man.
Sounds like rain.
All right,
thanks,
man.
brother.
Out.
All right,
Yep.
out.